Quick question, guys. Somebody asked this, and I think it's a very valid question. Melissa said, she said, her comment was the fake news agenda keeps escalating. She said, I looked at 538, which is, I believe, Nate Silver. He was one of those people who did data analysis for New York Times, and he started his website. He's considered very trustworthy, right, as far as numbers are concerned. So anyway, so then apparently the poll states he's at 42%. So is it true? What's going on with his poll numbers? Well, I don't believe it, okay? But I want to know what's up with these poll numbers. Is it true or is it not true? I've done a reading on this before. They show that everything is highly exaggerated. Well, let's see. With all the stuff that's coming up now, what's the deal with this? What's the story? It's showing me here, guys, that also when they ask these questions, it's done in a way that's disingenuous, that's the word. Okay, it's showing that they ask, for example, what do you think of the Russian investigation? It's decontextualized, and those people that they ask, they know that either they're really old and like the people who watch Fox News constantly. So it's almost like the question is not, the way that they ask the question is twisted. Because if they take everything into consideration, then they are going to be anti-Trump. But it's almost like they cut, the way that they ask the question is dishonest. Okay, so it shouldn't really mean much. Okay, so so I think this betrays one of the, I think, more difficult questions, and I think something that a lot of people have fear, which is both. I think the Trump's people exploit this fear and push this lie that people love Trump, that his base is there, but I think it's not really the case. So the question is, once everything comes out and the whole story is on the table, are these people, they're still, whether this whole, I feel like what I believe is that the story of the high approval numbers is a lie, like everything about Trump. They built this whole polling system, they know how to ask these questions that are fake, okay? But what I want to know is what happens, regardless, what happens when the whole thing comes out? Are these people going to believe? How are they going to react? Okay? Like I said, I don't believe. Yeah, it's fucking bullshit. Okay, so let's see what happens when the story is told. It's interesting, guys, because he first gave me the image of marionettes. You know those toy, what is it called? Puppet show. So it's showing that the Fox News is a puppet show. It's like, oh, da, 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 and they repeat what the Fox News puppet show says. So it shows an image of the puppet show being exposed, because that puppet show, there's a, this little stage, right? And it's like the puppets are talking. So once you remove the stage and you remove the puppets and you tell the full story, people get it, okay? Because the story, as it's told and it's become simple, it's like, you know what I mean? It's very, you won't be able to do it. And what happens, and I've seen this before, once Mueller speaks, people believe him, okay? There's something about him where he's finally going to tell the story and you won't be able to get away from it, okay? It is what it is. So what happens is people are going to understand what really happened. They're going to be called the betrayed, or the people who want revenge, and they feel like they were treated like they were fools. They're still angry, okay? Some of them don't want to believe it. But I think it's showing also it's a much older people, okay, that people who are in vulnerable positions, I think it's showing out. So they're going to be, once the whole thing with the terrorists hit and all that, they're going to be feeling like they were betrayed and they want revenge and they're very angry. So that's that, guys. The other question that I have that is part of this is also these people who are living on the propaganda diet. Okay, they believe this bullshit. They watch these shows. How are they going to be weaned off of this? It's a bit like a drug addiction. They can't see the reality for what it is. Are these people going to be able to get off this propaganda diet? And if so, how? Okay. Because I have a sense, I've seen before that Fox News as is going to be dismantled, right? They're going to be indicted and they're going to have to get to the truth, okay? So, but how are we going to be able to wean these people off of the propaganda news? And if so, how? Okay. Well, it's showing that I've seen before, guys, like that. Like I said, some of the Fox News people want to be indicted. They're going to have to stop pushing the Fox News propaganda, and I don't think I've posted it to YouTube yet. I did a reading on Fox News how it's going to be stopped by Mueller, but all these other news channels, they're going to have warnings. They're going to be taken off the air. And it's going to show because of the Department of Justice, there's going to be town halls all over the country, a lot of reach out, a lot of community conversations in person, because they understood the whole thing was about online, and it's like the reestablishing community, okay, because all this stuff happened and they didn't know what happened. And I think it's like I said, there's going to be, and I saw this in a reading earlier today or yesterday, I don't remember which one, that showed that it's going to we're going to know that there was an act of war, and it's going to show that we were under attack in a way or another. So this is going to justify everything that's going to happen. A lot of the educational outreach, and it's showing just like World War II, where there was all this educational stuff. There's going to be in schools, there's going to be all these kinds of things everywhere, so that people can understand what really happened, okay? And like I said, Mueller is very, people has gravitas about him, people believe him, and I think it's just, yeah, this is it. There's going to be a lot of reach, but this is why, and I've said before, once the whole thing and I'm sure this is why Roger Stone is such a pivotal figure, because he spread the propaganda talking points, and they're going to cut all these news, right, that pushed the propaganda stuff. So there's going to be laws, and it's going to be, Facebook is going to be, because then I thought, oh, Facebook spreads this stuff, but if it's established that this whole thing was a propaganda thing, then it's going to change. This merits a whole other reading, okay, the whole thing about Facebook and fake news in the future. But what I want to say for now, since the main question really was how are these people going to be weaned off of the propaganda diet, conversation, one-on-one, warnings on all these websites, arrests made by people who push Russian propaganda. Okay, because all of it really, guys, the whole thing with, oh, we're so separate or whatever, it's a result of propaganda. And and the whole, like I said, Russian Southern strategy, pushing the buttons of racism and so forth. So once this is shown to be propaganda, then it's going to affect people more strongly. Okay. So so that's that. Like I said, and I think I see those supporters as people who they really carry a lot of. They really carry the happiness I said before that I saw, I think comes from them more than anybody. Okay, because they feel they were so betrayed. And I think it's like there's work to do. Okay, like for them too. They allowed for this racism, all this stuff. But I wouldn't worry, guys. I think they're pushing, the Russians are pushing this propaganda item that there's going to be some sort of civil war. I don't believe that, okay? I think there's wishful thinking on their part, and there's a lot of propaganda wanting this to happen. But the other thing that I think, and I haven't done a reading on this, is the whole thing with the outright being exposed as being paid. It's like, if you think about it, guys, I don't know, probably know this, the U.S. has, in some ways, also armed people. This is dangerous, but I'll tell you, in countries like in Latin America and stuff. So in a way, the Russians are doing something similar with the outright. Like they were kind of giving them money and supporting them, hoping to have them kind of rise up once Trump goes down. That's what they're hoping, that they have some sort of army, separate paramilitary army situation, but it's not going to work. I think they'll be crushed in 2 seconds, okay? So this is it. It's kind of like all these people who are saying, oh, we're going to, whatever, civil. It's like, no, it's not going to, that's not how it works, okay? And you have the very powerful military in the U.S., so it's not like you're going to be like, no, don't come on. You're going to come for my guns? No, I want to go kill people and whatever. I'm going to kill you. Whatever. Like, that's a crime. Okay, you know what I'm saying? So I trust law enforcement to take care of it. If they're going to go with that, then there's preparation, okay? Because there's a lot of people who are taking Russian money, and it's like, sorry. Oh yeah. So that's that, guys. So this reading was a little bit rambling, but started with the polls and then ended with a question of how to wean off people from propaganda, and also to how to don't be afraid of the whole discourse of the wars and so forth. And I want to say, guys, too, I know probably, oh, but such and such saw something of a civil war. So I'll tell you, it's the easiest thing. Tragedy is so easy to, it's like, oh, I see all these people abused. It's very easy to see the darkest things, okay? Because in a way, it's a kind of like a special effect. People get scared, and then you're gonna go want to find out about it. I think you have to really take all these things with a grain of salt, and it's not how it is. It's like, it's wishful thinking too. It's like the fear mentality is it's clickbait, way to say, oh yeah, be careful. Oh, I see something. Oh yeah. So what I mean by that is, like I said, you have to trust. There's a lot of people who work hard to take care of the country and create some sort of order, okay, as this whole thing comes about. And I personally, I mean, I'm in New York, of course, so it's a little different, because motherfuckers come over here. I don't think so. No. So, so I feel like, yeah, I'm personally not concerned about this, honestly. They just want to scare people. And so, like I said, I know people see like, oh, horrible, the worst things, but from my experience, the stuff I get from spirit, there's a reason why it comes to some people said, oh, you do remote viewing, it's possible, but I also feel like there's a reason why certain things come and others don't. It's because their images that we're getting have to do with, there's a possibility of healing. There's always a possibility of, I don't think that it would, how do you explain this? This is why, guys, I said, like it's like I said, it's much easier to say, oh yeah, like people want it, it's like, oh, there's a war around the corner. Oh yeah. It's not like this, okay? There's a lot of, it's like, because it paralyzes you. Fear paralyzes people, and it creates an audience, and it's just, I don't believe, I honestly, when people start saying, oh, I saw this horrible, I feel like, I don't feel it's genuine. I think it's a lot of it is people, it's very easy to close your eyes and say, oh, I see a war over here, so-and-so is being raped, or whatever. Like, whatever. Like, oh, there's abuse. Like, yeah. But what is the point of it? It's like, it's just, it's the kind of thing that feels very specific, but a lot of times isn't. Okay? So anyway, so that's that. Like I said, I don't think I would worry too much about it. I think there's going to be a lot of disappointment from Trump's side, people who voted for him and pushed the propaganda bullshit. But it's like, pray for truth, if anything. It's like all this stuff's going to come out. And so there's going to come to a time where lying, there's not going to be a room for lying. You can't escape the sun. So anyway, so that's what I go for. I wouldn't worry about it too much, okay? Because it's one of the pillars of the propaganda, the idea that Trump is extremely popular. He's not. So that's that, guys. Okay, bye.